welcome everyone to the Pickens County Board of County Commissioners regular session on Wednesday, July the 23rd. I will note we have mostly a full board here today. Greg Postman had a death in the family and has had to travel out of town and sends his regards. Let me see if our county manager is settled in. Are there any additions and deletions to today's agenda?
There are no additions or deletions to the agenda.
Okay, great. We will go ahead and open up public comment. I will note these are for items that are not any topic anyone wants to address the board on, for items that are not listed for a public hearing later today. So we do have a couple of public hearings later today. I will note our land use item. It is a first reading of that land use ordinance, so it is not a public hearing. I think we have at least one person here who wishes to address us on related to that. So I would invite you to address us right now during our public comment. I'll go ahead and look to members of the public in the room who wish to address the board right now. Come on up. Nice to see you.
Hi, Joe.
Please say your name for the record, and you have 3 minutes.
On.
A red light is on.
Joe Wells, Castle Creek Caucus Coordinator. Hadn't planned to be here today, but I returned home from the Vision 2050 meeting, joint meeting with P&Z last night to find another special event request from the Elk Mountain Lodge LLC property. This one is from a company called We Are OMA, who is proposing a 3.5-hour ticketed event for 100 guests on the property. To give you some background, and you may conclude that this is perfectly okay, but Bill and Bridget Koch applied for an approval in 2007 to convert Elk Mountain Lodge to a single-family residence of 27,500 square feet. In doing so, they agreed that the property would, the commercial use of the property would be discontinued. In your resolution of approval, which was Resolution 034/2007, you made that representation your first condition of approval. So I would note that that language does not say commercial use of the property will be discontinued except for 3 special events permits per year, which is the interpretation I got with the previous special event permit application that came in about a week ago for the property. So this is the second request that the caucus has received in a matter of weeks. And I know some of us thought at the time of the approval we were getting rid of a commercial lodge in exchange for approving a very large residence on the property, but that the commercial uses would go away. So I just wanted to bring that to your attention, and those are my comments. Thank you.
Joe. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Joe. Okay, other items? Anyone else interested in public comment? Tony, come on up. Nice to see you.
Good afternoon, everyone. For the record, my name is Tony Kronberg, and I know that you have a first reading today on the Smith Hill Road improvements, Lazy Glen, and my comments are, I hope that when you do have the public hearing, that these issues will be addressed for the public information. And the first one, and I've already spoken with Andrew about it, so he's aware of it, but I just wanted the Pickens County Commissioners to be aware of it. NEPA has what's known as a 1 acre impact rule, that an environmental impact study would be triggered if the portion of land is more than 1 acre. So if that could be addressed during the public hearing, the second reading. The second issue that I would like to see addressed is the Michigan left-hand turn. There's two reasons why you do not use a Michigan left-hand turn. One is called excessive speed, and the second one is a high volume of cars. We all know that from Brush Creek Road down to Smith Hill Road that we have excessive speed and volume of cars, and I wanted to see how that was going to be addressed, if something special needed to be done to slow cars down. And then there's also, is there anything that we can do with Smith Hill Road before the construction, the improvements are made? It's my understanding that it'll probably happen in 2 years, but that's 2 years down the road. So if there's anything that we can do with that. And then, as you probably are aware, you probably read in the paper today that Jen Uten, who is the senior project manager on the entrance to Aspen for the city of Aspen, she has taken a job with Longmont, and currently that position is unfilled. But Jen did an awesome job. If it wasn't for Jen's strategic maneuvering, we never would have gotten as far as we have with the entrance to Aspen. So we're definitely going to miss her, but I just wanted the Pickens County Commissioners to be aware of that. And then also, there was an article in the paper, I believe it was the Aspen Daily News, where it says that now that the city of Aspen approved in a work session to go with a reevaluation instead of an EIS, that this will kickstart the process so that Pickens County can be involved in it also. So it's to be determined if Pickens County is going to be a cooperating agency or one of the lead agencies. And if Pickens County is one of like the lead agencies, I'm not sure if I've got that term quite right, is Pickens County prepared, God bless you, is Pickens County prepared to fund half of the reevaluation and possibly subsequent environmental impact study that would be needed, since if you're going to be joint partners or if you're just going to be a cooperating agency. And then another question I had for Andrew is that, and this would come up in the second reading, is that was there a comparative analysis done for a roundabout at Smith Hill Road as opposed to the Michigan left-hand turn? And then has there been a modeling study, or will there be a modeling study? If cars choose not to take the Michigan left-hand turn to do the crossover on the highway, how will that impact the entrance to Aspen? Because apparently about 3,000 cars a day now go along McLean Flats Road, and if half of those cars decide they don't want to do the crossover, how is that going to affect the entrance to Aspen? So that's all for today. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Okay, appreciate you. Thank you. All right, other folks, here, come on up.
Hello, good to see
Hi,
you all
Melanie.
again in the warmer weather.
Your name, Melanie?
No, and it might be under my husband's name, so Lawrence Buckholtz. Where would I see that?
I'm not sure what's happening. We don't typically do presentations in public comment. If you want to address the board, and then you can follow up with email to us.
Oh, well, I attempted to upload documentation to your website, but today was not listed as a date that I could select to do that. And really, I'm just pulling up a picture of a map and a couple of ordinances, so I don't need to. I think it is helpful for you all to be able to see, so I'll just get into it.
Great, thank you.
I'm here today to speak about, I believe that there is an error in the land use code and the Frying Pan Valley overlay. In 2008, it was codified for the Frying Pan Valley, all land in the caucus area, that the maximum square footage was 5,750 square feet, including GMQSs and TDRs. So that was the absolute final maximum. However, the land use code appears to have been changed because now it allows for GMQSs and TDRs as well. And so I believe this is an error, and it's not only an error in the language of the Land Use Code. Chapter 3 is where you'll find the overlay. It's also an error in our map. The overlay map shows reduced our caucus area size to about 10% of what our caucus area actually is. And then in the rural remote section, which is still our caucus area, it now lists a maximum floor area of 9,250 square feet as the final maximum. So I want to alert you to this, that there has been an error that I believe needs clarification. I think that the error occurred when the frying pan, when the overlay and the final maximum ordinances were signed by the BoCC in 2023. However, we weren't listed in the title or in the body at all of this ordinance reducing the square footage. And it's an ordinance that was meant to decrease the overall square footage, except for where it was already less square footage. So what appears to have happened is, if you look through the body of it, there's red lines through the language regarding the frying pan caucus area. And then, but it still says that there's no allowance for GMQSs. However, in the actual land use code, it allows for it. You will note, if you look at the old land use code, the former table in note 11, it included and outlined this for the frying pan valley, what our cap was, overall cap, including GMQSs and TDRs. But there were also two other caucus areas that were included. I think it was Snowmass / Capitol Creek, and then the Basalt Urban Growth Area. If you compare, when you look at the land use code now, their language is more restrictive, and ours should be too. So I would like to have that corrected. And it's also something to keep in mind, or I would request that you do for the second reading, open for public comments regarding the Forest Service, or excuse me, the National Forest lands later, because that language is incorrect as well, based on this incorrect language. So while I'm completely in support of that and with the intent of the National Forest to protect us, I want to make sure that it has the full protections that the frying pan caucus area has had since 2008, so for more than 17 years.
Thank you, Melanie.
Thanks,
Appreciate you bringing
Melanie.
it to our attention. Okay, other public comment, please. Come on up. Come on up. So we're just gonna request that,
So you don't want me to
comments
share
be
these
addressed
photos
to the board.
for my mom for Africa?
you're welcome to circulate them around the board if we could wanna take a look at them, and we can enter them in the record if you have a copy.
Before,
to
you
leave.
let me show a tape of Tucker Carlson.
Okay, today, this request was not brought to the chair for the board. We have a
Happy to come
lengthy
back if
meeting,
you would ever allow
and
that.
Happy to look at what you brought in right now today.
Great.
Thank you.
Well, my name is Lee Mulcahy. I'm super grateful for many things. I'm here because of your letter to the editor. And I'm here to nominate my mom, who Patty knows, for, I think, half of your categories. I think she qualifies for. I would just note for the record that I, as a volunteer, I served on the Aspen Historical Board for 8 years in many, many different organizations I volunteered for, like you all have. But I applied for this board multiple times unsuccessfully for an alternate position on the Senior Services Council, and I have a great sense of humor that's been vacant for decades. So do I expect this board, like the story of our country, the deep divide between mostly Democrats and my family, Tea Party Republicans, to actually take this beautiful 89-year-old seriously and what she's done for this community and others in Kenya? No, probably not. But regardless, I'm a citizen, I'm here anyway. the reason I think her love for Kenya is so great is because she died in her mother's arms at age 7 in southern Texas, and she was raised by a black woman. And her love for the Kenyans is so great that, Patty, I think you knew my late father.
I may or may not have. I know
Right.
your mom.
He was always at church here and skiing, and he was the greatest, but he was only alive for one well. And my mom is now raising, and I had the pictures of the students and the kids for her 18th water well in Kenya. And water wells are pricey, but she also has a ministry that we distribute clean water filters to families, and in Kenya they're very large, 7, 8, 9 average, to families that can't access a well. And it's too remote, it's very rural, like Pitkin County. And the water, it's called the bucket ministry. The water filter lasts 20 years. It filters 1 million gallons of buckets. She came, like my father, from a very poor background before something happened, but she has devoted her life to helping others. And I'm sorry that you refuse to meet her in the eviction of the home that she was on her hands and knees building. But I think that reconciliation and forgiveness, I forgive you for the many unconstitutional things, but I think it would be a statement of beauty for not just for Pitkin County, but for the nation, for you to endorse what this woman who's been given an honorary doctorate in Kenya has done for the service of mankind. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lee.
Lee.
Thanks, Lee.
Are there additional public comments today? Anyone online? All right, I'm not seeing any. Again, for items listed for public hearing today, there will be an opportunity to address the board on those specific items, and I will open it up to commissioner comments. I'm gonna take the pleasure as the chair and just, Lee, before you go, you absolutely should submit a nomination for your mother. This board does not make those award selections. We have a committee that makes those choices and advances those to us for celebration.
I already did as your letter suggested.
Great. Yes. And all right, and I will just sort of note in response to some of these, Tony, I think some of your comments can be addressed in the course of the conversation later today on Smith Hill. Melanie, I was chatting with staff right before this relative to your concerns about how the language is showing up for the frying pan land use code, and they are looking into that and want to make sure everything is clarified as to the BoCC's intent for what should be showing up on our maps. And I think related to the Elk Mountain Lodge, I'm gonna ask if staff can just look into that special permit, but we don't usually see those special event permits so long as it doesn't convert their use to a special event center, would not
Venue,
generally.
special event venue, yes.
Venue
That is
would not generally come to us, but if there are other things of concern for the board's decision, please look into it and let us know.
We'll do that.
All right, other commissioner comments today?
I just have a
Francie.
short one.
Yes.
While I was sitting in unmoving traffic this morning on my way in, between the airport and Buttermilk, I had an opportunity to look at the sort of the verge there where the airport has the hill, it comes down towards the road. And I know we've all been looking at that for many decades. I've never seen it so dry. I mean, most of the upper valley looks pretty wet. That is crunchy. And so when something at 8,000 feet is crunchy, we have a really serious situation. So I just want to encourage everybody to pay attention to the fire restrictions. Make sure your vehicle chains are secured. Don't throw a burning cigarette out the window. All the things that have started fires in our area. It's really serious. Down valley, anything that's not irrigated is ready to go. I mean, the slightest thing will ignite an entire field, not to mention the forest. So that was really sobering this morning. I thought it was wetter up here than in fact it is, so be careful.
Can I just add to that?
Patty?
And when being at the top of Independence Pass last Friday, it's dry up there. And when you're at high alpine like that, and you have dry brush at that altitude, it's really scary. So again, I thank Francie for bringing it up. We do have fire restrictions, stage 1. It's critical that people abide by it. And if you see others who may not be aware of what they're doing as far as violating the stage 1 fire restrictions, please kindly explain to them the importance of following those restrictions to keep all of us safe and our forests healthy again, hopefully soon when we get a little more rain like we did last night. We got good rain yesterday evening up here. And
I saw fire 2 restrictions in Carbondale. There was a
yeah,
big
Garfield
sign.
County is under stage 2 because they have had multiple fires along Route 6 and along I-70 from people either throwing cigarette butts out the window or dragging chains. So it's simple things that make a huge difference. So, so please follow those rules and regulations. It's important. And the other thing is Mountain Fair is this weekend. It's in Carbondale. The highway will probably be busy, so please extra precautions. And if anything, people, please slow down. There's no big hurry to get anywhere. And if people slow down, maybe we'll have more safety issues on the highway for both human beings and for wildlife. So thank you.
And the good thing about Mountain Fair is it always rains at Mountain Fair.
It's actually
Always rains at Mountain Fair.
it's actually supposed to be good for the weekend for Mountain Fair. It's supposed to snow. Snow. It's supposed to rain next week, not snow. I'm pushing that one.
All right. Any other commissioners wish to make comments today?
And thoughts and prayers to Greg and his family.
Thanks. Okay, let's move on to our consent agenda. We have 2 items. The first is the minutes of our July 9th regular meeting, and the second is a resolution regarding an abatement petition for Cloud 10 Aspen LLC upon recommendation by the hearing officer. Do board members wish to pull any of those items for discussion?
I'm good.
Okay, otherwise I'll look for a
I will make a
to approve.
motion to approve the consent items.
I'll second.
Thank you. Patty, thank you, Francie. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye, thank you. Okay, individual consideration items. This is 1 reading. Since this is this resolution a public hearing?
It's just,
It's usually an informal.
yeah, it's an informal resolution, so generally the answer would be no.
Okay, come on up. Ashley Pearl and Matthew Gillen. We're going to discuss the Aspen-Picken County Housing Authority 2025 to 2030 strategic plan, of which we are required to ratify.
Yeah, good
Hi,
afternoon.
thank you.
Ashley Pearl, Housing and Resiliency Director with the county. I'm joined by Matthew Gillen, Executive Director of APSHA. You heard from both of us, especially Matthew, 2 weeks ago on APSHA's strategic plan. The board had an opportunity to ask questions and give feedback. And per the IGA that governs APSHA, any strategic plan is asked to be ratified by both the City Council and the Board of County Commissioners. The City Council did so in June, and so it's before you today for a 1-read informal resolution to ratify the APSHA strategic plan, which would then kind of wrap up and make it official for APSHA. And I know they've already begun work on some of the stuff, so I invite Matthew to say any other things about the strategic plan.
I think it was a great process. We really reached out to the community, and I think it really reflects both the county commissioners and the city of Aspen and the APSHA board's priorities. So I think I'm very pleased with the product.
Thank you. Any questions? We have had thorough discussion on this at past meetings.
I
This
have
is,
a comment.
yeah,
I want to thank you. It was very clean.
Great.
It was not volumes of information for people to read. It was very concise, and I think any member of the public could look at that and understand where APSHA has kind of been and where APSHA is moving in the future, and I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Right, yes,
Just have
Francie.
a comment. I thought the APTA board retreat was really successful, and I just want the public to know that the board takes all of these items very seriously and really works hard to make APTA as equitable as possible. And I thought that board meeting was an example of that work.
I will make a motion.
Okay, let's hear it.
I'll make a motion to approve. It's a one reading informal resolution ratifying the Aspen-Picken County Housing Authority 2025-2030 strategic plan.
And as the rep to APSHA, I'll second it. Any further discussion?
Thank you.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye. Thank you. Thanks,
Thank
guys.
you.
Thank you.
Onward. Matthew, one of your former predecessors, Tom McCabe, has always said to me, "Onward through the fog," and that is one of my go-to sayings. All right.
He was in the military.
He's so funny. All right, item number 4. This is a one-reading public hearing. We are going to convene as the Pitkin County Liquor Licensing Authority to review a resolution of the BoCC acting as the Pitkin County Liquor Licensing Authority, approving the renewal of a fermented malt beverage and wine retail license for Down Valley Hospitality, Inc., doing business as Boulevard Barrel on the Redstone Boulevard. Sam Engen is our liquor license, what's your title? Admin, thank you. Go ahead and kick us off. I acknowledge, I do not see the applicant here. Is he joining online?
He is
He is.
Okay.
Justin Abad.
Oh, his hand is raised. He's ready to go.
Okay, awesome. As Kelly mentioned, this was continued from July 9th. Just a brief overview of what I put in my memo here. There was a little typo. We did issue this on June 27th of 2024, not 2025. So the establishment has held a valid liquor license for just over a year. Their current license expired on June 25th of 2025, and with this renewal application on hand, it still counts as a current license until we get this renewed. I wanted to go ahead and note that state liquor enforcement did go out and do their inspection on June 6th. That report was enclosed for your review. We have made several attempts to do an inspection, and I can let Justin elaborate a little bit more. He's been operating on really reduced hours out there at the establishment, so we have not been able to conduct an inspection. And I did put what the currently posted hours of operation are. And then we reviewed this a little bit earlier this year when he applied for an on-premise consumption license, but just a reminder, the fermented malt beverage and wine retail license is for off-premise consumption, so that's the liquor license that we're looking to renew today. And staff is recommending approval, and there is a resolution stating as such enclosed in your packet.
Okay.
I have a question. So the original hours and the currently posted, are we going to be maintaining what's currently posted? Are those hours going to move forward, or are they going to go back to the original hours?
And that's what I'm looking for some clarification from Justin today. Last we spoke, he is planning on going back to the original hours. I
Okay.
just wanted to inform you of what they're currently operating
Well,
at,
I'll
which is
just-
reduced from what was originally approved.
Great. Well, I'll just make a note for further conversation. I think I appreciate the currently posted hours for Sunday. I think it gives people a little more downtime for Sundays, but that's up to the applicant, so thank you.
All right, any other questions of Sam before we hear from Justin? No, okay. Hi, Mr. Abad, welcome.
Hi, sorry I can't be there in
We
person
cannot
today.
hear you. Hang on a
As
sec.
Sam had alluded to,
Sorry, we can't hear you. Wait, we can't hear you just yet. It might be on our side. We are.
I think that's frozen.
All right, try again, please.
can you hear me now?
Yes, we can. Can we get more volume? Can you?
It's happening.
Okay, great. Okay. All right, thank you. And sorry for the delay. Please go ahead.
Great, so thank you very much for convening again, Commissioners, and I want to begin by apologizing for not being able to be there in person today. as Sam had alluded to, and as I think shared, and hopefully directly with you, and also I assume is in public record, there's been some family issues at home in Florida that I've been needing to attend to pretty immediately, and currently still kind of am going back and forth. So I was just back down there for about 5 days and then back here for 2 and back down again. But at any rate, I want to apologize for not being there in person and being able to do that. I bring that up mostly because there's a practical influence on what my hours can be and what I would like them to be, assuming when all of this is kind of taken care of. So I'm not sure how you'd like me to address that. If you'd like me to talk about how I see things happening in the next 3 months, let's say, or if you'd like me to talk about how I would like to proceed in the long term.
Well, as I understand, this is an annual license, right? So you should
Right.
cover what you envision and are requesting for the next 12 months of approval.
Okay, great. So just to be clear, what I would like to try and do, and forgive me because I don't have what the posted hours that Sam is talking about are right now, but what I would like to be able to do is operate with my current license Monday through Sunday, 7 days a week, beginning at 11 a.m. and ending at 8:30 p.m. during the week and 9 o'clock on Fridays and Saturdays. That is what I'd like to do, like what I'd like to have my hours be, with all things being equal, and in season. That being said, in off season, when it is winter and the boulevard quiets down quite significantly and gets darker much earlier by 7 o'clock, 7:30, in practical application, I would be closing by 8 o'clock almost every night during the winter hours, and likely in the fall hours as well. There's just not the business to support being open. It's consistent with pretty much what Propaganda Pie does, and I'm trying to remain consistent with the rest of the operators in town. But just in terms of the last couple of weeks and months that you all have been trying to get out, I have been running very, very reduced hours, pretty much only opening on the weekends when possible and when I'm in town. And those weekends I've been opening sometimes at 3 p.m. in the afternoon and just being open until about 8 or 8:30. And it's been pretty inconsistent like that since I learned about the diagnosis back home and have been traveling, and that was about late May. So that's really the reality of what the wine shop will continue to operate in until this has been kind of put to bed, so to speak. So that's kind of, yeah, that's pretty much it.
Okay, okay, thank you, Justin. So I have a clarifying question of either Sam or Rye. So Mr. Abad has represented hours that are slightly different from what is in our memo. Does that trigger any additional noticing or anything like that for us? Or is it close enough that we can consider that right now?
How you guys have handled this in the past with
Red light on.
How you've handled this in the past with prior liquor licenses, if you wanted to keep it to a restricted hour, you would put that in the liquor license itself. Seeing that he's proposing hours that were less than what was originally approved, that's how I drafted the resolution in front of you today. That you would be approving it with the hours at least at that. But we could modify it and add that to the resolution if you want to have him stick to the 11 to 8 with 9 p.m. on weekends.
I heard 11:30 to 8:30 with 9 on weekends.
No, 11 to 8, correct?
That is correct, Sam.
Yeah, I heard it.
Okay.
And what was originally approved was 11 a.m. to 10 p.m., 11 on weekends.
Okay.
Currently posted 12 p.m. to 9 p.m. Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes. Questions?
I still would like to see Sunday I know it's only 1 hour, but just to give people a little quieter Sunday morning so that would be noon to 8 on Sunday.
I have no objection to that. I'm sorry. I have no objection to doing that. I mean, it's not substantially going to make a difference.
I think, every hour people have a little quiet time on a Sunday morning is nice. Thank you.
Okay, questions? Francie?
Yeah, I'm wondering why there would be noise if it's just a liquor store where you go in and you buy your liquor and why would it be disruptive?
There's just activity.
What?
There would just be activity. If you want to sit on your porch on a Sunday morning and you're right next door, You might want a little,
Just people parking and going in, that
yeah,
kind of thing.
just activity. I didn't specifically state noise. I just said it.
Okay.
Just
Activity,
quiet
I see.
time.
Um,
I'm comfortable
Well, I
with
kind of
hours.
have a question about the letter that we got. I mean, it's sad to me that we're still getting letters that say that liquor's being served and also that there was a fire during fire restrictions. And I'm hoping that that was a misunderstanding on Matt's part before he sent the letter. I don't know. I think I felt at the last time you were here, Justin, that we had all felt pretty comfortable that we were going to be able to renew your liquor license, but not grant you the on-site consumption part of it. But I didn't see any problem with renewing the liquor license. And I guess I would just ask Sam that we have follow through on monitoring so that, because the implication in Matt's letter is that Justin has carried on with some of these activities. And you can answer me, Justin, if you want to.
Yeah, if I may make a comment. Look, at the end of the day, this has become pretty personal and I think unwarranted and invalid. I think that unfortunately a relationship in the community is deteriorated to such a point that it has been attacking the way that we operate on a consistent basis. So that's my position, and I'll continue to find remedy and seek remedy with that after conversation with counsel. But as far as the accusations themselves, unequivocally, I'll deny them. Unequivocally, will deny them and tell you that continue to operate within, and as designated by my license. There's no service on premise. There's no consumption on premise. Let's take a practical, just like application there though. If I'm in my apartment and I walk around the private space that is not part of the licensed space and I'm having a beer, I'm allowed to do that. I'm not selling it. I'm not promoting that you can buy beer or consume alcohol on my licensed premise, but I live behind the wine shop. So when Matt's taking pictures of me from hiding upstairs, literally from a corner, that's why they're so obstructed. That's the angle that you're seeing. As far as the fire restriction, as soon as I was notified of the fire restriction, the fire went out immediately. So, again, we can nitpick it. And if it's going to be such that if I have to operate every day, I can pretty much guarantee you at this point, you'll receive a complaint no matter how I'm operating from certain individuals who just don't want me to be in the community anymore. And unfortunately, I will just ignore that and continue to live my life and try and be a good tenant and a good community member, continue to volunteer my time in the community, and continue to try and be as transparent about what we're doing as possible. This has caused a substantive and measurable negative effect on my business. The slander continues, and it continues to be on borderline defamation. And I've had to rely on using my liquor license in more creative ways by building private cellars for individuals and doing more out of premise, basically, off sites, online sales and things of that nature, and more consulting through the organization than before, just to maintain. So I'm trying to continue to address and adapt as the county has asked me to, and what I think is fair. But at this point, it continues to be, I think, pretty prejudiced in nature, and I'm going to continue to try and find remedy that way. But as far as this is concerned, again, I unequivocally deny that I have violated any of the rules of my liquor license from our conversation last to current day. I've barely been open, so I just find it to be asinine.
All right, thank you, Justin. I'm sorry that your relationship with your neighbors has deteriorated. Doesn't sound great. Thank you.
All right, any other questions right now for Justin or Sam before I open the public hearing? Okay, I'm not seeing any. I'll go ahead and see if there's any members of the public who wish to address the board on this request for a renewed liquor license. Come on up.
Is this good here? Okay, thank you, honey. Hi, for the record, my name is Tony Kronberg, and I'd like to share a very positive experience that I've had at the Boulevard Barrel. When I've gone in there with friends of mine to purchase alcohol to take it out for an event that's in Redstone or whatever, that the owner, and I apologize, I don't remember his name, but he has been very explicit the fact that there's no on-site consumption and there's no service required. It's always been a really positive experience. I am looking forward to the day when he can operate his business on a similar basis as Propaganda Pie, which is right across the street, which has kids running around, has games going on, cars going in and out, noise emanating from it, and it's just right across the street from Boulevard Barrel. So I'd like to say I'm looking forward to the day when he can have on-site consumption license so that all of this drama goes away and that this man can pursue his right to have a business in the town of Redstone.
Thanks, Tony.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate you.
Thank you.
All right, any other public comment? No? Anyone online? Please, Michaela, if you could check. All right, not seeing anyone else joining us online, so I will go ahead and close the public comment for this, and I will bring it back to the board for discussion on this renewal request.
I would just like to make sure we have clarification on the hours.
I would propose an amendment to the resolution, paragraph 8, where I would add the hours.
And again, I'll just articulate them: 11 to 8, Monday through Thursday, 11 to 9, Friday and Saturday, and 12 to 8 on Sunday.
Thank you, Kelly.
Yes. Is there further discussion?
No.
Go ahead, Jeffrey.
I appreciate the back and forth between staff, the applicant, the public. Appreciate the consistency with the land use pattern and the fact that it's a mixed use boulevard, sort of respecting what's going on across the street of Propaganda. So I appreciate sort of the middle ground we got to with reduced hours that hopefully meet the community needs. So thank you.
Francie.
I'll make a motion to approve the application for renewal of fermented malt beverage and wine retailer license for Down Valley Hospitality Incorporated, doing business as Boulevard Barrel.
As amended?
As amended.
Thank you. All right, we have a motion from Francie. Is there a second?
I'll second with a comment.
Yes, Patty.
I think this is an opportunity, Justin, for you to show us over the next year the efforts to become and continue to be part of the community, which I think you truly want to do. And hopefully you can repair relationships with neighbors. I know that's stressful for everybody concerned. It's not fun to be living in a neighborhood where I live in a tight neighborhood, and I know how that can feel for both sides. So hopefully that can move forward in this next year, and it's up to you. If the board approves this and moves this forward, it's up to you to show yourself, the board, and the community that you can maintain this as required under your liquor license.
Okay, thank you, Patty. Any further comment? I'll call the question. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Seeing none. All right, 4-0. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you, Justin. Best of luck.
Thank you very much.
All right, I am going to, do I need to adjourn our sitting as the Liquor
We need a
Licensing
motion.
Authority? Can I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Is there a second to adjourn? Thank you. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, we are reconvening as the Board of County Commissioners.
Uh-oh.
And moving on to first readings, which will be set for public hearing on August 13th. Item number 5 is an ordinance of the BoCC approving and accepting the Brush Creek Park and Ride property from the Colorado Department of Transportation. We have Public Works Director Brian Pettit here with us.
Great. Yes.
What would we do without her?
Right, exactly. I'm Brian Pettit, I'm the Public Works Director. This item has been going on for almost a decade. It was in 2016 when the Board of County Commissioners submitted a letter to, at that time, the Regional Transportation Director for CDOT was David Eller. And the letter was requesting the transfer of Brush Creek Park and Ride from the state to the county. And since then, there's been varying degrees of discussion, but we ramped it back up about 3 years ago, where we started talking a little bit more to CDOT about making that transfer. Through the leadership of Jason Smith, the current Regional Transportation Director for CDOT, It was completed through a quit claim deed from CDOT on July 1st. So the state had, through their powers, transferred the property, but now the county has to accept it through this ordinance. A little bit of history about Brush Creek Park and Ride. It was acquired by the state in 1997. It was much larger at that time, over 50 acres. Part of that property was transferred to the city and the county, which left about a little over 27 acres remaining, which is illustrated here in front of you. At that time, the county, Town of Snowmass Village and the city of Aspen wanted to improve that area for a park and ride. And through an IGA with the EOTC, 200 spots were paved, and RAFTA was able to construct their facility for buses to pick up passengers. That IGA still exists. It needs to be updated regardless of what happens in this property transfer, but that allowed the EOTC then to accept the expenses required to as part of the park and ride. Snow plowing, weed control, that type of thing, maintenance of the park and ride itself. Additionally, besides the IGA, there were 2 leases that were submitted to CDOT. One for RAFTA to operate their bus services, and then one to the city of Aspen to provide enforcement for the parking at Brush Creek Park and Ride. So all that has been in place for many, many years. As part of this transfer, if the Board of County Commissioners decides to accept this property, those 2 leases would cease to exist. The county would then sign a lease with RAFTA and then take over the monitoring and enforcement of Brush Creek Park and Ride. The expenses for Brush Creek Park and Ride would be continued to be paid by EOTC. They have paid those historically and would continue to do that depending on the extent of that payment would depend on how that parking lot is going to be managed. At the upcoming EOTC meeting, you have a management and monitoring plan that has been developed over the last year. And so the EOTC will be making a decision on to the extent of how that parking lot's used in the future. But that is the history. The expenses of the lot just for snow removal and maintenance has varied the last 5 years between $70,000 and $100,000. There's been a big variance just because in the last 5 years we had just completed the major upgrade, which was $7.3 million of additional parking, new lighting, and landscaping at Brush Creek Park and Ride. So that influenced how much money was required to maintain the parking lot. But that project's now fully completed, and we have fully about 400 paved parking spaces there with new lighting. And then remaining is a dirt area on both sides of the paved parking spots that is between 900 and 1,400 cars, depending on how efficiently you park people, because it's not a striped situation. Those dirt areas are used primarily for special events, like concerts or X Games. So that's how that has been used in the future. As part of the deed transfer, CDOT did put a deed restriction on there saying the 27 acres could only be used for public transportation purposes or non-proprietary public use. So moving forward, that deed restriction would need to be adhered to by the county. But that's kind of the history and where it is right now. I think staff's recommending the county to accept this property. Again, it's just over 27 acres in size.
Questions? Patty?
I don't have any questions. Well, it may create a question, my comments. I think this would provide us with I'm concerned about the cost. I'm concerned we don't have a parking department in the county. I don't want to create a new department. But that can be part of the planning as we move forward if we choose to take ownership. I think that it might provide us with opportunities for discussion as far as overnight parking, because we do have a need. Sometimes people come to town with vans or campers, and they need to know there are the potable water issues there and the septic issues there that don't really exist there. but that can be part of planning. And I think event planning or staging for large construction projects, sometimes we need space to download materials into smaller vehicles to go to the construction site. And those uses, the events and staging, can come with a fee, much like Buttermilk, and we do have a company managing Buttermilk parking lot, which, I think that's part of a future discussion, again, as we move forward. But it also may provide us the opportunity for the issues we have with parking at the airport, because, the airport parking gets full. We're gonna have to see how the new management in reconfiguring some spaces at the airport, how that moves forward. But I think it provides us the opportunity to find solutions for problems we haven't been able to find solutions for. So as of now, unless public comment or more issues come up between now and second reading, which is, I believe, on the 13th, I think we should move forward with this.
Questions? I have some questions. Are there any covenants on the property that we will be taking on?
Covenants other than the deed restrictions?
Well, did CDOT enter into covenants with Federal Highways Administration that now become our covenants?
Not that I know of. No, just the deed restriction.
And when we talk about non-proprietary, would that prohibit if we wanted a rental car company to park cars out there, since they're making money off of the rental cars, would that prohibit their use of that space?
Yeah, I think anytime we walk close to the line of public transportation purposes or non-proprietary public use, we would want to contact CDOT to get clarity on what they think is right and what would be acceptable. So I'm not giving you a specific answer
Sure.
on that. I think we would want to work with our CDOT partners.
Like, say we decide we want to charge for overnight stays or something, but not day parking, or would we be allowed to do that? Because it's still public transportation. I don't know. You think, best guess?
I would say that charging rates or fees for parking for the public in this location would fall squarely within the allowed uses for and under the deed that is on the table in front of you all right now.
All right, thanks. Other questions at all? Jeffrey.
Is your hand up? Like you had a thumbs up, a hand up. I'm like, okay, now I'm confused.
Yeah, I would look for the board to accept the quit claim deed. And I look forward to the management plan, and in there, really challenge the organization to how does this become a world-class sort of resort amenity, because it's now such a fixture for visitors, not only to Aspen, but to Snowmass. I think over the last couple of years, as we've seen the build-out of Base Village, it's become an even more integral, in many ways more important than Ruby Park in terms of the overall transportation infrastructure. So I would challenge Public Works to say, how do we make this really a world-class asset, for the whole valley? So thank you.
Thank you.
By doing what? What would you suggest that they do?
Oh, it would be nice to have a charging station or two, finally.
True.
It would be nice to have facilities that are comfortable as opposed to contractor-like. So some of what was envisioned in the original build-out, it would be nice to be ADA accessible, but those minor things that I think would show that we're a welcoming community and first-class resort. So.
Be nice to have 900 extra cars parked there.
At least it's paved.
Portions of it. Okay. Other discussion?
No, but would you like a motion?
I would.
I'll make a motion to approve an ordinance of the Board of County Commissioners approving and accepting Brush Creek Park and Ride property from the Colorado Department of Transportation.
I'll second. And we will set this for a public hearing on August 13th, and we will have further discussion about how to manage it on August 14th.
That's right.
At the EOTC. All right, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
Thanks, Brian.
Thank you.
Who's hosting EOTC?
Let me look.
I don't know.
Don't remember who's it.
I don't-
City?
It's on our
Sorry,
calendar.
I got jury.
Yeah,
I got
I don't
jury
know.
duty
I
that
just,
day.
I scheduled 4 doctor's appointments for August 14th. No, I did yesterday, schedule 4 doctor's appointments for the 14th.
Hosted by the city of Aspen.
Cool, thank you.
And I've just accepted
My
it.
dog, my eyes,
Okay.
I won't be there.
Congratulations, thank you.
All right, we are going to move on to item number 6, a resolution approving an intergovernmental agreement between the BoCC of Pickens County and CDOT, Colorado Department of Transportation, for the Pickens State Highway 82 HSIP intersections grant. Andrew Knapp, our county engineer, please tell us.
Hi, Board. I am Andrew Knapp, the Pickens County engineer, here before you to discuss the what we call HSIP, Highway Safety Improvement Program grant that the county was successful in receiving. I'll just keep it high level and happy to discuss more details as questions arise. But if you'll recall, we were before the board in October of 2024 to discuss some potential safety improvements at the Smith Way and Highway 82 intersection, as well as the Lazy Glen and Highway 82 intersection. Most notably, the Smith Way intersection, we're proposing to reconfigure into a, in technical speak, reduced conflict U-turn intersection style, more commonly known as a Michigan left intersection, which would eliminate the current crossover at Smith Way and direct all motorists to up and down valley dedicated U-turn facilities. That would eliminate the broadside accident collision type, and instead you would have a much safer, less severe, less injury and fatality prone broadside collision type with this new intersection configuration. And I don't want to forget Lazy Glen, also very important and impactful to the community based on past accident history. We're proposing to add an up valley acceleration lane for travelers leaving the Lazy Glen neighborhood. Based on positive reception from the board at that October board meeting, where we also had CDOT here, who we've been working in close coordination with since this is a state highway, the Public Works Department endeavored to develop a shovel-ready bid package and also begin applying for construction grant dollars. And we were very successful with that grant request. We requested a $2.6 million and change grant from CDOT. They are federal funds. CDOT administers the federal funds, and the county and Public Works Department has already identified $300,000 of county funds towards this effort. We have obligated $100,000 of those funds towards the design effort, which helps lay the groundwork for that grant application, and that design continues. And we also have an additional $200,000, which was identified as those matching funds for the grant application. When you have an HSIP project and grant on the state highway system, you aren't obligated to have any matching county funds as part of that grant, but we did identify that $200,000 we had budgeted as matching funds to make it a more attractive project for grant funding. And this project has very high cost-benefit figures because of that unfortunate and fatal accident history at both of those intersection locations. And the cost-benefit figures I don't have at my fingertips were over 3 in some of these intersections, and I've been involved in a lot of grant applications. Oftentimes they're trying to do some magic math to get to that one figure here. So this was a very attractive grant application, and accordingly we were successful and got that full grant request, which I was surprised to get that full grant request amount because typically our region for CDOT gets $1 million per fiscal year to award through this grant program. And I did request more than that. I was bold in that request, and they met at a state level to discuss the project, and other regions throughout the state found this project so compelling they were willing to kind of redirect some funds from around the state towards this project because it does have such a high safety benefit for the community. And it's not just safety benefit for people that are turning at Smithway, it's safety benefit for anyone who travels across that intersection on Main Line 82. I know every time I drive through there, I almost have my foot hovering over the brake, not sure if those people crossing are going to make good decisions at that intersection. So I'm here before you to hopefully have the board's acceptance of this grant.
Thank you, Andrew. Patty?
Yeah, two things. Thank you for being bold. We appreciate your boldness because it paid off, literally. Second thing is, in light of recent issues we've had with federal highway grants, will you let us know when that money is in your hand? Rather than being frozen, unfrozen, frozen, unfrozen.
Absolutely. And this funding is administered by CDOT, and I have been told CDOT has the funds. These are fiscal year 2028 funds, but we do hope if we are in good shape with our bid package and ready for construction, that we will be able to accelerate that to be constructed in 2027.
That would be great. Thank you, because I know that those two intersections are of great concern to the traveling community and to the people who live on either side that are witness to some of those horrific accidents that occur at both those intersections.
Absolutely.
So thank you. And I know we had some comments earlier about a roundabout there. We've looked at all the options and opportunities. And I think in the interim, if anything comes to mind that might help, that we haven't thought of and tried in the past, then I'm sure you'll be letting us know how we can try and mitigate some safety issues in the interim. So
I would like to note for the board's awareness that after our October meeting, where this Michigan Left concept was publicized, it hit the papers, we have noticed a much higher volume of travelers utilizing the next crossover up Valley as a makeshift Michigan Left situation. While I do love the proposed intersection change, I do not like that movement because it creates a conflict between the acceleration lane for Smith Way as they're traveling up Valley and people that are diving in, jamming on their brakes to hit that crossover. And there have been close calls with one of our sheriff's deputies. So CDOT, in response to that, and the interim condition is going to post that intersection, that crossover, as a no left turn, no U-turn crossover to help mitigate that current conflict until we can get this intersection formally reconfigured.
that's very proactive. Thank you.
Did you collect, I'm surprised Tony left.
She's
but-
outside on the phone talking very adamantly and aggressively to
Well,
someone.
she did raise some questions
Yes.
that you've addressed some of, and I just want to make sure you'll have the opportunity to address either now, even though she's not here, or at our next public hearing, including the NEPA 1 acre rule, any additional calming, which I think you've just addressed, and how, a reminder to the public of maybe how we landed on the design decisions that we did might be helpful in the next memo.
Absolutely. And I can speak to some of that right now. I'm not aware of any NEPA 1 acre rule. I've had numerous highway construction projects in my career that have exceeded 1 acre in disturbance, and those have been cleared utilizing the categorical exclusion portion of the Environmental Policy Act. There is a 1 acre rule for stormwater discharge permits if you have 1 acre of disturbance. We may or may not exceed that. We don't know our full disturbance. It will be mostly within the median of the highway, and we will acquire that stormwater permit if it is ultimately necessary. And I think there was a. Can you remind me what the other questions were?
How we arrived at the design decision for, as opposed to a roundabout versus the example.
Yeah, so in the development of this Michigan left concept, I've been in very close coordination with CDOT and the regional traffic engineers as to kind of what's on the table for options at this intersection. And roundabouts have been discussed along Highway 82 in the past, and CDOT is not excited about a mainline Highway 82 roundabout and a high-speed segment of the highway. You know, another thing to consider with that roundabout concept is going to have a much larger footprint, you know, with a large circle to accommodate combination tractor trailer vehicles that will have to navigate that, and will likely have greater environmental and right-of-way impacts to implement that, not to mention the very high cost that would be associated with reconfiguring that intersection to a full roundabout. You know, what we're proposing here is much less impactful as far as phasing and construction and cost, because a lot of these improvements are going to be able to be made within the median with minimal traffic impacts during the course of construction. So knowing that, you know, the costs and the lack of funding and those right-of-way impacts and environmental impacts, you know, a roundabout is really not appetizing to CDOT at this time, and this is their facility. We wanted to focus on something that could have near-term safety benefits for all the travelers here. You know, there's been lots of discussions. Do we stick a traffic signal in here or a roundabout? And what can we do? Well, we have an intersection type here before us that will make significant safety improvements for everyone that'll travel through here for nominal cost compared to the benefit for the entire community here. So we have the opportunity and the grant funding to be able to move forward with major safety improvements for the community.
Okay. I think Francie was first and then Patty.
Oh, would you just briefly explain to me again what would happen at the left turn for Smith Hill Way for people exiting? I can kind of picture it from the diagrams and stuff you gave us before, but I just drove by this morning and I just couldn't understand why 20 cars are backed up there and all the way down. Why is that better? I just didn't get it. But what would be different? Just remind me, you make a left and then you go right for a while and then you get down Smith Hill, is that right?
So if you're traveling up Valley on Highway 82 and you want to turn down Smith Way, currently you go through the crossover, you're at a stop sign, and you are perpendicular to approaching traffic waiting for your clear gap to cross. With the Michigan left configuration, that crossover will be closed. You will proceed further up Valley into a deceleration lane, into a dedicated U-turn, and then into an acceleration lane where you can get up to speed, and you'll now be heading down Valley, and you will merge across down Valley 82 and then turn right down Smith Way.
All right, yeah, that's what I thought. Okay.
And then if you're coming out of Smith Way and you want to go up Valley, and the crossover is now closed, you turn right, you head down Valley, you have an acceleration lane to get up to highway speed, you merge across the highway into your dedicated deceleration lane to the U-turn and dedicated acceleration lane to be able to continue up Valley. So depending on the final location of those crossovers, your out of directional travel is still kind of up in the air, but it's going to be less than a mile of out of direction travel to make that maneuver. And the trade-off is, of course, the major safety benefits.
Okay, very well said. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I pictured it perfectly.
Andrew, oh, sorry, Patty, you were next.
Real quick, and the other issue with the roundabout is the water course there. So that's another, I mean, it's very complicated to put a roundabout there, besides the lack of space, but there's also the natural resources that run through there there were a lot of issues that came forward, but, I mean,
Yeah, it's
we
one of
looked
the
at
few
every
places.
possible solution over the years.
One of the few places on 82 where the creek is in the median.
I know.
Brush Creek is in the median for a significant stretch of 82 there and under the crossover through there. So.
Additionally, roundabouts, you want to see balance in the legs of the roundabout.
Yeah.
And this just doesn't have it there.
Right.
Just doesn't, it wouldn't
Just seems
function.
like you'd still be backed up down Smith Hill until the Brush Creek light changes.
Yeah,
to
we have
open
a
up,
roundabout that
you know.
just, we don't want that one.
I was gonna say,
again.
let's put another one in and see how it works.
I love roundabouts. They have huge safety benefits. They can have significant traffic operation benefits compared to a traffic signal. I don't love a roundabout at this intersection.
Are people making U-turns at the Brush Creek light to go around to Smith Hill? Are
I
you
have
observing
not
that?
observed that. I'm sure someone has.
I mean,
I-
I have. I just don't know how frequently other people have.
And,
how much
and
U-turns.
it's not a great
Can you do
intersection for a U-turn
Doesn't
because
say you can't.
you have, it's a double left turn,
Yeah.
turn bay, and that far left turn bay is a bus lane.
Mm-hmm.
So that can create a conflict with a bus who is turning left to go
Trying to do
into
a
Brush
U.
Creek, and then you're trying to do a U-turn across their path.
Well, you might want more signs over there.
It says no U-turns.
U-turn.
A lot of CDOT signs these days.
We could just, fix the traffic instead of worrying about Smith Way at all.
So we better fix the Smith Way, because by the time we fix the traffic,
And then that was just another question that Tony had posed, was will there be any interim safety improvements between now and hopefully 2027?
Beyond that minor signage change at that next Up Valley crossover, we're focused on getting this constructed as quickly as possible.
And that's the same for Lazy Glen?
That's the
we
same
did
for Lazy
everything
Glen.
there, I think we can.
Okay, thank you. All right, any further questions? May I please have a motion to set this resolution for an IGA with CDOT for a public hearing on August 13th?
So moved.
Thanks, Francie.
Second.
Thank you, Patty. Any further discussion?
Thank you, gentlemen.
All in favor, please say aye.
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 Thank you.
Thank you.
Nice job. It feels good to get money, doesn't it?
Thank you, Board.
Let me know when that cash is in your hand. I want to know that.
I'm gonna take a quick break, Kelly.
Okay, how about a 8-minute break? Welcome back, everyone, to the Pickens County Board of County Commissioners regular session on Wednesday, July the 23rd. We are on item number 7. This is a public hearing and second reading on an ordinance exercising Pickens County's right of first refusal and purchase of 86 Hideaway Lane in Glenwood Springs. Excuse me, we have Andrew Miller, who is our housing analyst. Did I get that right? Nice
Correct.
to see you.
Thank you.
Walk us through it.
Sure. Good afternoon. Just a few updates from first reading. We were within the time frame to submit our inspection objection earlier this week to the seller. So with that, we are asking for a small credit with some of those inspection items, which will reduce the price by $4,800. So in your packet, it has the purchase price as what we had it prior as $522,885. It'll if the seller accepts that objection, it will be reduced down to $518,085, which would then also adjust our full contributions down, or our total investments for the property from $792,885 down to $788,085, and then our capital fund would have an increase of that $4,800 up to $282,432 left in it. Other than that, that's everything else has been moving on with that property. Along with some of the credit, we did ask for a few items to be completed by the seller prior to closing. That closing is still scheduled for August 11th. We had a septic inspection completed. Everything was good with the septic system as well, which we were able to then help out Garfield County because they didn't have any records on that septic system from its installation. So everything on that property is still moving forward and on pace to close on the 11th, but I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
Wonderful. Questions for Andrew?
I don't have a question, but is it
I have a
public
question.
hearing?
It is a public hearing. Why in the ordinance do we not reference a total purchase price or a maximum purchase price? We just have we're leveraging our right of first refusal, but we don't say what we're spending to do that.
Is that a question for me, Kelly?
Probably. I'm guessing Andrew might want to defer to you too.
Sure. I would say, and I can pull this up right here because I'm not sure how it is in the packet, but I'm pretty sure that there is a reference in the ordinance to the exhibit, which is a contract. And the exhibit is incorporated by reference into the ordinance. And the contract states
Yes.
in the table the purchase price.
Of $522,885 is the max.
Correct.
Okay, thanks. Appreciate that clarification. Seeing no further questions, I will open up the public hearing. If any members of the public wish to comment on Pickens County exercising our right of first refusal to purchase this unit back from one of our employees at 86 Hideaway Lane in Glenwood Springs, please do so now. Raise your hand and you'll have 3 minutes. Okay, seeing none, I will close the public hearing and bring it back to the board for discussion or a motion, please.
I have a question. You said 5,882 or something?
522,885.
Okay, which is now actually gonna, if he accepts this, will be reduced by $4,800.
Correct. Down to $518 and $85.
Okay, good. Every little bit helps.
I'll make a motion
Thank you.
to approve the ordinance exercising Pickens County's first right of refusal on purchase of 86 Hideaway Lane, Glenwood Springs.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thanks, Patty. Further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thanks, Andrew.
you.
Thank you.
All right, moving on to our land use portion of the meeting today. This is a first reading on an ordinance of the BoCC rezoning all lands owned by the federal government or state of Colorado to the Resource Government Zone District, except as specifically excluded. When do we expect to set this for a second reading and public hearing? Thank you. And I will turn this over to Community Development Director Suzanne Wolf for presentation on our efforts to rezone these lands.
Sorry, I'll get there. Okay, and then I need to.
Got invited to a luncheon on a work session day, which I can't go to. August 12th. Busy week.
Yay.
Hi, Suzanne.
Hi. That's the most stressful part.
The rest of it's easy.
Thank you to Michaela, always. Okay. Here today for the first reading of the RSG Resource Government Rezoning and Amendment to Zoning Plan. The BoCC directed staff to initiate a rezoning of lands within Pitkin County currently owned by federal and state government to the RSG zone district. This includes lands owned by BLM, Forest Service, Colorado Parks and Wildlife, and the Colorado State Land Board. The action excludes lands owned by CDOT. Any other entities that are not federal government or state of Colorado, so again, does not apply to any private property. And anything already within the ski rec zone district, which does include some federal lands, but those are already subject to a zoning that, under their master plans, limits what those uses are, what uses are allowed. This is the intent statement of the RSG zone district that is in the code. The RSG zone district was created in 2006 when we adopted the new land use code, the then new land use code. I guess it's been a while. This zone district was created, but no lands were actually zoned to RSG. But this concept had come up out of various master plans, caucus area master plans, about putting federal and public lands into some sort of resource zone district. So it essentially, simply put, currently used for non-development purposes to avoid inappropriate development of such lands in the event they are sold, exchanged, or otherwise made available for use by an entity other than the federal or state government. So that's the intent statement. So again, this has been in the code for some time, just hasn't actually been used on the ground on a zoning. This map just shows the existing zoned areas that will go into the RSG zone district. And this map is slightly revised from the one we brought to the P&Z, thanks to Joe Wells, who I know was here earlier, but wanted a clarification on those, where those ski rec areas are. So those are those green areas that are shown on this map. But this gives you a sense of the different areas. Obviously, right, what is it, 85% of the county is in federal or state lands. So it's a big swath of the county that would be rezoned to the RSG zone district from all of these zone districts that are shown on the map. So this would be the new proposed zone district with the RSG over all of those lands.
Did you say wow?
A little rezoning.
Yeah, it's a little rezoning. So as I mentioned, this was created in 2006. It had been, mentioned in various master plans, and I'll speak to that more as we continue. No lands have yet been rezoned to that. The growth management quota system does include a provision stating that governmental lands are not eligible for an exemption from growth management. So essentially, under our provision for, do you have a growth management exemption for a pre-existing parcel prior to 1978, which is when growth management was adopted? It's basically saying if you were public lands, you don't have a development right. That has come into play in various circumstances. We've done land exchanges. When a parcel was created out of federal lands, that parcel had to compete in growth management to establish a development right for that parcel. So that's the current status. Basically, it acknowledges that something that's coming out of public lands does not have a development right for residential development associated with it. We're talking a lot about Vision 2050 yesterday. We spent some time with you. But I think just touching on that, it's obviously there's been a lot of work there. One of the guiding values is rural preservation. Obviously, those public lands are, I think, what everyone turns to when they think about one of the things that's really special about Pitkin County is those public lands and what they provide to us and protection of those. So this proposed rezoning provides another layer of protection on those. The rezoning process is 2 steps through the P&Z and the BoCC. By state statute, the Planning Commission has authority to take action to certify the zoning plan, in this case zoning amendment, to the BoCC. They met last week, voted to recommend approval by 5-0. We have also sent a referral out to all the caucuses, Forest Service, Parks and Wildlife, BLM, and the State Land Board. The only comment we've received that wasn't in your packet but was forwarded earlier in the week is the letter from the State Land Board, so I want to acknowledge that on the record. I assume you've all gotten that. If there's any need to, I can read it into the record, but they do object to the rezoning, and I can speak more to that as we get a little bit farther on, but just so they...
Is that the letter from the DNR? Department of Natural Resources? Because we had one from them too.
If you did know, this is State Land Board, Colorado State Land Board.
We had something from the DNR that said they were going to object, and I thought they were going to be here, but maybe it was, they meant the second reading, or?
I think Julie Major's online from DNR.
Yeah.
Oh, did that say DNR? Okay, that was, okay.
Yeah,
I just,
thank you.
to me, I was looking at State Land
Sorry
Board.
to interrupt. I do not have a letter from the DNR.
I think it's just the State Land Board. They objected.
I have Elliot Hoyt's letter.
Okay, yeah, and Julie Majors has been in touch. She's planning to listen, wanted to be on the meeting, did not intend to comment today, but, was looking to see how, the board will consider their comments. But, so yeah, I think that's probably the letter. That's the only one I've received.
Okay, I guess it was just copied to the DNR maybe, or, because it's a forwarded message. It says from Majors-DNRs, Julie.
That's just I think that's the email address, but she's with the State Land Board.
Okay.
And to be clear, it's signed by Elliot Hoyt. Transmitted through Julie Majors. So one letter.
Elliot?
Thank you.
Yeah.
For the clarification.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you for acknowledging
Great. So
addition
first
of it to the record.
First reading today, there'll be second reading and public hearing on August 13th. This is just sort of procedural stuff about when we do a county-initiated rezoning. I won't walk through all of that, but we're complying with all of those requirements. And then that the criteria in the code for a rezoning is advancing the health, safety, or welfare of the community and must be supported by either changed conditions affecting the subject parcels or the surrounding neighborhood that support the proposed rezoning or applicable Pitkin County master plans. So essentially, again, we've said that the rezoning advances the welfare of Pitkin County by aligning the zoning with the current use of the lands and avoiding inappropriate development of those lands in the event they come out of the federal or state ownership. The proposed rezoning is supported by the comp plan as well as the land use master plans for various master plan areas. There's a list there of all of them. As I mentioned, some of these date back the 2003 plans where a number of the areas created plans, and that is where the actual creation of the zone district in the code came from. The master plans were making that recommendation. We created the zone district. We didn't actually rezone any lands to that. But to dive a little bit more into some of the detail, with those, the comprehensive plan spoke to creating a new forest natural resource zone district and rezoning Forest Service and BLM lands to that zone. The East Aspen Zone District spoke to a zone district to preclude residential development, reflect the resource conservation uses that exist on the national forest. The Emma plan had an open space designation on their future land use map and recommended a resource government zone district for those areas. Maroon Castle, again, that was their 2003 plan when they were still a joint caucus. Spoke to establishing a new zone district for public lands, a forest natural resource conservation zone. Maroon Creek, more recent, that's their 2018 plan, rezoning to the resource government zone district. And then the Owl Creek master plan also speaks to a proposed rezoning to resource government. So the recommendation is definitely supported in the comprehensive plan and the master plans. This is that same map you just saw about the areas to be rezoned, and then there's just a series of maps that tries to narrow that down a little bit to some of the areas. So all of those were included in your packet, but just I'll kind of scroll through those so you can see the different areas in a little bit more detail. So we are recommending approval on first reading, set for second reading on August 13th. And before I finish, I think maybe just to speak a little bit to, the State Land Board comments. They've requested to be excluded from the proposed rezoning. That obviously would be one possibility for the board to consider. I think, we can speak more with them. Ryan and I have spoken with them in the past about, some of the uses that she brought up and whether those would still be accommodated under the RSG zone district. There are uses that are permitted either as allowed uses or special review uses that would be, allowed, could happen under the code. There is a use in the RSG zone district that says a use by federal permit, so anything that's on the forest or BLM. My example has been like the Horseshoe Bend Lodge in the Frying Pan has a use by federal permit. It is permitted to operate as a lodge. It also has a county special review approval. It goes through those dual processes. We don't have a similar use listed for, a use by state permit, for lack of a better term. But is there something that would be more similar to what the State Land Board, how they would permit uses on their property? So I think there are a few things we can explore with the State Land Board between now and second reading to, understand their concerns and determine, again, if they want to continue with their objection and request to be excluded, or if there's another way to propose that and continue with the rezoning of that piece of land. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Okay. I don't know who was first.
I think Patty was first.
Mine just real quick, maybe real quick. How much land approximately do we have in the county that is state-owned other than CDOT that would be impacted? Because CDOT's excluded from this, correct?
So it's 814 acres of state land.
And primarily Snowmass Canyon area.
So there's the piece, right, the Williams Hill, and then there's a couple of pieces up the Frying Pan that are Colorado Parks and Wildlife.
Oh, CPW.
Yep.
Okay.
So right, there's.
I knew that. I knew it was
pretty
pretty
limited.
minimal in comparison to federal.
Correct.
Okay.
Francie.
Well, Kevin Warner called me a couple of days ago, and he said he was going to try and call you as well. Did he get a hold of you?
Yes, I've spoken with Kevin a couple of times.
So, yeah, he was just concerned about the Farm Bill, which is now called the Explore Act, I think, but it was re-upped. And in that, the Forest Service has the ability for 99-year leases, some for housing, like in Dillon, they have housing on U.S. Forest Service land. And that would definitely be a change in intensity. So I think he was just kind of, you might have more on this, but sort of like a red flag that this could have an unintended consequence that we might not anticipate.
Yeah, the conversation I had with him is that really they're in unincorporated Pitkin County. He was saying, a good example of a use of that is the administrative site in Aspen.
Right.
Where they were able to take some of that and sell it, and it was used for housing. there are no administrative sites within Pitkin County. The other example is the one in Eagle County. He said, so he feels like those are the types of properties that, again, I probably understand nothing related to what that, that act accomplishes, but.
But what about the Crown Park?
That's in Eagle County.
Eagle County.
Right.
So that's what, there aren't sites
that would
like
be,
that
similar like
that are in unincorporated Pitkin County that would be affected by this rezoning. And he said the intention there, again, it's a leasing of the property, and he said those would, if they were to do something like that, it's trying to accomplish a goal of what's supporting the forest if they need housing, as well as maybe supporting whatever other entity they're partnering with. So again, he didn't see it so much as that would be used, to sell off property for private land development and, private residential development. But he was less, I guess, not so concerned because there aren't those types of forest lands that are in unincorporated Pitkin County. And again, those two examples, I think, are the ones, he was just like, he couldn't think of anything that would be similar to that, where they might be looking to use a piece of land in that manner.
Okay.
So yes, have spoken with him a couple of times as this was progressing.
Mm-hmm. And he said he has spoken to Brian, but he really hasn't highlighted this as something that they need to do something about.
Yeah, well, I mean, in speaking with him, he certainly was not expressing any objection. And we've spoken several times to just make sure he was, clear and understood what the zone district says, what the intent is, how it affects them, which really is more, there is no effect on how they operate today while it's in federal ownership. It's just, it affects what it is if it goes out of federal ownership.
Okay.
So I want to follow up on that a little bit. So since this rezoning is tied to ownership, how does future ownership affect the zoning?
If a piece was,
So it's just as of this date, these lands that are owned here are rezoned this way. So government decides to sell off to a private owner. Are they still under this zoning?
yes.
Does it revert because of as of the date of adoption?
Right, it is, at that point, it is rezoned to resource government, so those lands are under that zone district.
Okay. And then can you just bring up the criteria again for a changed condition and then something else?
Change conditions or the applicable master plans.
Okay, so we're relying on the applicable master plans,
Correct.
which you've laid out very clearly in the ordinance. Okay, Patty?
So, could somebody come back in and want to change the zoning in the future, have it rezoned back to some other use, take it out of this government zoning? I mean, they could come in and ask.
Right.
And then it'd have to follow certain criteria and a determination by ComDev, P&Z, and the BoCC.
Correct.
Okay. The other question I have, did we address clearly enough, and maybe you said this in it, I missed it, Joe Wells' concerns about just the mapping, clarification of the parcels? I saw what you had.
Mm-hmm.
Is that what he was concerned about?
It was the one thing was the concern about, right, the ski rec zoning.
Right.
And what was his other?
That was
There was
primarily,
Yeah, that was definitely in response to Joe's.
okay, just to make sure we clarified that. Okay, thank you.
Further questions?
No, but I'd love to make a motion. Is it a public hearing?
Yeah.
first? No, it's not.
No, it's not a public hearing. The public hearing will be
When we have
on
the second?
August 13th. And,
Kelly, may I
Yes.
just add one thing?
please.
I just wanted to let the BoCC know how much I appreciate and how much effort we got out of the GIS folks to help create all this mapping and to create descriptions of these properties. I know it's just 1 or 2 pages in your packet, but those maps are really what allow us to get some of these rezoning actions done. And then all those folks did it in a really professional and very fast turnaround based on the request when that came in. So I told them all I'd tell you that, so here I'm gonna tell you.
Glad you didn't forget that.
I almost did.
Thanks for doing that, Rye, because yes, it is really helpful when we go to them and say, you know, we need to work
your
with you
help.
on this. And yeah, Tanner Pfeiffer has been the one we've worked with most directly, and yeah, he's really
I mean, dozens
been-
of hours, approaching into
been-
the hundreds of hours to get this kind of stuff
Yeah.
done in the time frame that they were asked to get it done in, so.
Good job, good job.
The maps are incredible.
And there is Tanner has been working on more of a tool where you can really be able to zoom in and see, you know, that, like, again, even when you break it in the county into 4 pieces, you're still, you know, lacking some detail there. So he has an online tool that will be able to, and maybe I'll bring him to second reading and we can pull it up and be able to, you know, see how that works. But you'll be able to zoom in better to understand those boundaries.
I would like Doge employees to see that map so they can understand the impact of losing Forest Service employees in our county.
And that's all that is rezoning spectrum there.
Well, I'll make a motion then.
Well, hang on, I just want to, maybe it would behoove, and I'll probably ask this again at second reading, and just, you know, what happens if sometimes lands we talk about land transfers. You know, I know there are occasionally private entities who are trying to work with the Forest Service on land exchanges. So, like, what does that mean for them then? So say they've owned private land, they've now exchanged what was private land with now public land, because they want to do something usually. How do they come into ComDev to apply for what they want to do?
So it will include a rezoning request at that point, because the RSG zone district would not allow residential development. So they would have to propose a rezoning to, you know, whatever the appropriate zone district is based on the criteria in the code. With that, presumably also, you know, either ask to compete in growth management or utilize TDRs to establish a development right for that parcel, and then do the standard activity envelope, you know, establish where on the property you would develop. So all of that would be, you know, presumably brought together in one application.
And then we would be able to consider that without it being a spot zoning?
Yes.
Okay.
Can I add to that? That's a good question. So if I own a mining claim that is not currently impacted by this because it's not federal or not government land, it's privately owned, and I want to exchange it with the forest. And so what happens to the zoning on my little piece of private land? Does it then, when the forest takes it over, become rezoned automatically to this, or what?
No. So the maps that are in front of you today, when you're doing a zoning action, the
Stays.
maps are very critical to what piece of specific property is being rezoned. So in your hypothetical, the once private land that, let's say, likely had a rural remote zoning designation on it would maintain that rural remote zoning designation. The piece of property that was exchanged in that quid pro quo would presumably have the rural remote zoning on it, or I'm sorry, the government resource zoning on it. And at that time, the owner of the property could come in and apply for a rezoning for that specific piece of property, applying the same zoning criteria that is in front of you now, being the change conditions and or reliance on the applicable Pickens County Master Plan. There does not need to be one or the other of those conditions only to rezone a property. Both of those conditions can exist both for this zoning action and a future zoning action. So should the BoCC, with respect to this zoning action, decide, well, the master plans accept or support the zoning, can also make additional findings that changed conditions further support the zoning action. so there's that. I think leaning towards what Kelly was talking about a little bit, one of the benefits of this particular zoning action in my mind is that should a particular piece of property come in the future, having come out of federal ownership and or subject to a long-term lease with the United States, and the zone district does contemplate long-term leases in its language. I think it was on that first zone district intent slide that Suzanne put up, but also the definition of subdivision in the Pickens County Land Use Code contemplates a long-term lease as a subdivision of real property. It would potentially allow this board to rezone a property that is being designated as resource government today, or 2 weeks from now, presumably, and consider that request in the future as a more thoughtful and criteria-based approach to rezoning a particular piece of property for a use that may or may not be applicable to it or appropriate for it. Whereas right now you just kind of have these de facto zone districts covering some of this government-owned land just as a result of the passage of time and past zoning actions. It shouldn't be assumed that a particular piece of property coming out of federal ownership in the future, like Francie's potential or hypothetical regarding the tree farm property outside of Elgibel, which of course isn't in Pickens County, but there could be a situation or a circumstance in the future where a particular piece of property that came out of federal ownership or state ownership comes back into private ownership, and an application is in front of this board, and it may be appropriate to grant that or deny that based on the applicable criteria in the code at that time. And I think that promotes a more orderly and thoughtful approach to zoning the entire county as a whole, as you move forward with this.
So what you're saying is if there was a land exchange and I took ownership of what is currently federal land for my private mining claim, I could come into the board and if I wanted to use it for X activity, and then we could determine whether it was appropriate, where it was located, et cetera, and all that criteria. Okay.
Yes, you would engage in that process set out by state law and by county regulations, and your legislative intent expressed through those county regulations to apply things like the master plan criteria, the existing criteria for zoning in the code, and look at the Pickens County Comprehensive Plan as a whole and make a decision whether that particular use at that particular time is appropriate.
So it doesn't, because there may be land swaps that come up in the future that we want to encourage and incentivize, and there is a manner in which we could do that even with this rezoning of those federal or state lands. Okay.
Yeah, I think you said that better than I did.
I said a lot less words.
Maybe I was going to say fewer words.
Fewer words. You envision all the nightmare scenarios, but there could be a scenario where this board would support something coming out of federal land. So it's just hard to speculate.
We're quite the
too
team
much.
over here.
Yeah,
He's
exactly.
the long-winded, and today I'm the short-winded.
So I have a couple more questions. So are we 1-to-1? Like, lands that we're rezoning, were they already zoned? Were they all already zoned?
Yes.
Or were there patches of land that just weren't?
No, they're all,
So
they are
we're
all
transitioning
zoned
them
today.
from
Much of them,
some
as you
these
can see, a
others.
lot of it is rural remote.
Yeah.
You know, we captured a lot of those lands in rural remote. But, you know, again, if you go flip to this map, you can see like the Crystal area, Thompson, Creek area is RS30 today, not rural remote. But again, there is a patchwork. And as you can see, there are a couple of, little pieces, that are closer in. And so again, it's a bit of a smorgasbord, but they are all zoned today.
Okay. And will they all become RSG then?
Yes. All of that will land in RSG.
Because that was a good point that came up during Planning and Zoning Commission. This is not the same as an overlay like you did for some of the other more recent zoning actions this board did. This is stripping it of its existing zoning and replacing it with this zoning. So the underlying zoning completely disappears in this circumstance.
Can I ask a
So
follow-up to that? or-
how broadly we talk about rural remote has suddenly shrunk.
Well, again, if I pulled up the intent of rural remote was to address what's the appropriate development
Yeah.
on properties in rural remote, 1,000 square foot cabin or a TDR. Again, those are developable, private properties that have development rights associated with them today, which is the difference. This is all public lands.
Sure. I know I have more questions, but Francie, you can go.
Just
while
to
I
follow up for
Yeah,
that.
that's fine.
So are there protections in rural and remote which will not exist under RSG?
I would, Susanna and I were looking at the table of allowed uses in Chapter 4 of the Land Use Code today, and I would say that the list of allowed or special review uses in the rural remote zone district is more expansive, or there are more allowed uses or more uses allowed by special review than is what currently exists in the resource government zone district.
Okay.
So, kind of,
I mean, I think the biggest difference is residential use.
yes.
Rural remote allows for residential use,
Yeah. On private land.
and RSG does not.
Well, I guess it could
Right,
go
it's
to,
on-
if it changed ownership. Like Patty was saying.
Yeah, and I would summarize it by saying we're not technically restricting it, we're protecting it.
So you can do something that might increase the intensity, but it would be reviewed case per case. Is that correct?
Under the RSG zone district. I mean, again, there are uses, and again, federal uses, whether it's, I don't know, we looked up at a few, there were like
outfitter.
a wireless communication facility. I mean, obviously, on the state land board land up, or, whatever, BLM land on Williams Hill, there are, those are facilities that are allowable based on a review process. So I can't remember what some of the other ones were.
Well, what about grazing permits? What if somebody
Those are
wants
all-
to graze more cows? Is that more intense?
If that's what is permitted by the federal, the entity that controls the land, BLM or Forest Service, that's controlled by them. We allow grazing would be an allowed use under the code. The determination is with the forest or the BLM, like what that level is. So the resource uses are accommodated under that resource government zone district.
But
It's-
grazing is allowed, what about forestry?
I think we found forest logging, mineral gravel extraction.
There's lots of-
Those are special review uses.
1041.
Under our code, special review, and, would also require permitting through the forest or the BLM.
So like when they go up the frying pan and do the logging up there, which they are wont to do, that's already existing use that is permitted by us and managed by the Forest Service?
It's permitted by the Forest Service.
It's permitted by the Forest Service. I think under the zone district, it says it would be a special review. I don't think we've seen those coming through us for special review approval, or I know we haven't.
Okay. And those would continue
were
to be
in-
allowed?
Right.
Yes, agricultural and ranching uses are both allowed uses in the RSG zone district. Uses that, like, utilization of a grazing allotment, so that would be a use by federal permit. And the intensity of that use would be dictated by that federal permit.
And the same with lumber extraction?
Yes, except that timber harvest is a special review use under the code, which would require a dual layer of permitting between the United States Forest Service and Pitkin County, particularly if those uses were to spill out onto things like use of county right-of-ways and things like that, for truck traffic, for transporting logs, for whatever it may be. So then there'd be a dual layer. But we do not have an equivalent to something like a grazing permit allotment under the county code. And it's just an allowed use under this resource government zone district.
So I might ask for second reading that we include the table from chapter 4 in the memo, just because even though we're not doing a text amendment, which is normally when we would see that, it would be helpful in the AIS, I think.
Yeah, I think that would be helpful, particularly if this board, after Susanna and I have a chat, an opportunity to chat with the state land board folks a little bit, particularly if this board were to, I know one of the options that Suzanne presented to you all with respect to the state land board property was expanding some additional or including some additional allowed uses or special review uses under the land use code for some of these properties, which would essentially take an amendment to the Pickens County land use code to add or subtract or modify some of the uses allowed in the resource government zone district. That's something that I think Suzanne presented as an option that we can discuss with and find out if that would lessen some of the concerns from the state land board folks. So.
Yes, go ahead, Brian.
So would eminent domain be able to be used on some of this land if, let's say, the Explore Act, the Farm Bill, and they insist that we have, that there's affordable housing here or whatever, can they then use eminent domain to take some of this over? Or I guess that would be on themselves, or I don't know exactly how that would work, but can they override this? Can the federal government override this because of the Farm Bill, now the Explore Act?
Generally, the concern I think you're expressing is more directed towards federal preemption over our regulations rather than eminent domain. And my response to that is twofold. One is, were any of this land transferred out of government ownership, there would no longer be a preemption discussion because the United States no longer owned it. I think a preemption type of discussion is more relevant to a circumstance, and we can play hypotheticals all day long, but a circumstance where there was a use granted or a long-term lease granted for a portion of this property, and then that would tee up a preemption type of challenge.
I think that's what Kevin was concerned about. That.
And it's hard to predict each and every scenario where something like that would take place. And whether federal preemption would totally eliminate the county's ability to regulate in that arena, I'll tell you right now that I would say no, but that would be a fight and a bridge we would cross when we
You
got
would say
there.
no. Okay.
I'd say federal preemption does not totally eliminate the county's ability to regulate those types of activities.
Jeffrey.
Continuing the dialogue, I think the supremacy clause would apply.
Potentially.
Does this put any additional pressure on our 1041 regulations?
What do you think, Suzanne?
I would have to think about the potential uses and where they fit under the 1041 regs. If it's an area or activity of state interest, could think more about that for second reading as well.
Okay.
Haven't sort of thought about that layer.
Mm-hmm. Sounds good. And then how do we notice, how do you do noticing on a county-wide rezoning action?
We publish the notice. We're not required to mail or, with other applications, you post a sign. The state requirement, and I guess I could go back to wherever that was. It's governed under the state statutes, but basically, right, we publish the zoning. We need the maps, and the descriptions of those areas are an important component of that. And then we take it through that process of certification by the P&Z and then on to the BoCC. But the notice, the required notice is publication, and that there be at least one public hearing at the BoCC.
Okay, so that got printed in very small print in the Daily News at some point in the last 6 weeks.
I don't know about very small print, but relatively small print, I guess. The requirements of statute are in addition to, and in addition to the requirements of the Pickens County Home Rule Charter. So the proposed ordinance and is published in the newspaper, but also published on the Pickens County website for anybody that wants to view it. So it's a two-part process. When we go through these rezoning actions where we need to publish and publish the maps in the newspaper, we make sure that the maps are of sufficient quality and size, and it's expensive, but it's what we do to make sure that if you're looking at the map in the newspaper, you can reasonably ascertain whether your property as a particular property owner, and that's really the standard for noticing zoning actions, is to make sure that a particular property owner with reasonable competence can look at a particular notice and determine whether or not his or her or their property is subject to the zoning action. So it's a little bit more, and that's the statutory reference up here, is a little bit more stringent and requires a little bit more in the context of zoning than what is just the tiny little notice in the newspaper. You actually have to publish the maps in such a way that they're legible and can be read when that's taking place. And I think referrals to other agencies are done as well under the land use code.
I keep temporarily forgetting all of my questions that I had about
Got
this.
plenty of time.
Sorry, let me ask mine and then I'll go to you. Was there anything of note in the P&Z dialogue to share with us?
I think some of these same conversations that have come up, the federal preemption question, sort of similar to what Kevin, Warner was asking you, sort of a similar discussion, I think, came up at the P&Z, talking about long-term leasing. Is there anything, any scenario we're not thinking of, kind of thing. I don't think that's what I had in my notes. Rod, can you
I think
remember
that
anything
about
else?
covers it, other than the general and unanimous support for this
Right.
action to go forward.
Thank you. Jeffrey?
Just a question / direction for staff. So on the state parcel on Williams Hill, we already have AT&T Wireless, Pitkin, a mobile home park lease. We have fish and wildlife leases for hunting, and we have a fishing easement. I'd be interested in, from the state perspective, what else they're looking to do in terms of intensity of use or permitted uses. And specifically, and then sort of guiding principle going back to the state, their principles for managing the state land says rely on the regulatory and enforcement functions of local government and other regulatory entities. So
Who's they?
they is the state land board.
Okay, thank you.
And my hope for this board is that we wouldn't remove the state land board from this zoning action, that the actions are consistent with what we're doing both in the federal and the state side, but really going back to the state, saying in a cooperative manner, what are the uses that you envision on this parcel or parcels that you're not performing today?
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Yeah, I definitely
Yes.
want to work with the state land board to make sure that this fits their needs and covers ours.
Thank you.
I have a really short question.
Yes, go
Are
ahead.
there any other jurisdictions that are doing something like this?
Thanks. JV?
I believe Chaffey County, and we had an inquiry from another county that's looking into it that is escaping me right now. But Chaffey, I believe, was ahead of us in this.
She's out there doing her yoga right now.
Okay.
Further discussion? All right, we will have this discussion, well, assuming we move it today, to second reading and public hearing on August 13th. Can I please have a motion to approve the ordinance of the Board of County Commissioners of Pickens County rezoning all lands owned by the federal government or state of Colorado to the Resource Government Zone District,
You have
except
the
as
motion.
specifically excluded? Thank you, Francie. Who wishes to second? Patty? All right. Further discussion? Thank you all for your hard work. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
And the board strongly seconds RISE appreciation, both for the community development staff as well as the GIS talent in
You did a great job.
accomplishing this in
Thanks,
such a
guys.
And thinking of this and finding this zone and zoning.
And to new Commissioner Woodruff, who,
Pushed it.
yes,
We thought of it in 2006.
suggested that we all do this expeditiously.
Been there for a while.
So we're under 10.
Okay, thank you.
We're not. We're under 20 years.
Nice job, Suzanne.
Thank you.
Every time I look over, Francie's got those.
All right, open discussion. I know we have to figure out Shoshone, but we can do other items first. Patty, do you have something?
Do we need to notice? I'll let Suzanne.
Sorry. Hi, John.
So is anybody going to the celebration of his service for Rick Valentine on the
Friday at noon, a week from Friday at
I don't
noon.
think I got invited. Maybe
Yeah.
I'll go.
I didn't know anything about it.
We got invited.
I cannot. I have a conflict.
So I don't know if we need to notice that, John, because I'm going to try and go, and Greg may. So there might be 3 of us. Do we need to notice that?
Sorry, I was having 2 conversations.
Sorry, I distracted
It
you.
is Friday, August the 1st at noon at the fire station. It is a celebration for the retirement of Aspen Fire Chief Rick Valentine.
And it's the handover to Jake Anderson as well.
Well, yeah, but it's a celebration of Rick's term.
You do not need to notice that, even if 3 of you are going to be
Okay.
there.
Thank you.
Right, the laws change that we
Yeah.
can go to
As long as you don't
celebration.
discuss the zoning
talk to each
action
other.
or something.
I won't discuss zoning. And then EOTC is definitely on the 14th before I change all the appointments I just made.
What?
EOTC is definitely on the 14th. I don't have it on my phone calendar or on my regular calendar, or do I have?
I only have it where I entered it, not like the official thing.
Yeah.
Really? I have it as an official meeting.
Or I change everything.
Well, it looks like Francie accepted. It looks like Patty's been invited.
I can't accept under Google invites. It doesn't work on my phone or my iPad.
I'm sorry.
I usually write it down and let somebody know I'm showing up. It's called a telephone call
From 4 to 6
and where is it?
at the city of Aspen.
City's hosting. If I can change all of the appointments, I just made them yesterday. I will do so, but there's some things I've got to get done.
It's a Thursday, right?
Yes.
Driving into Aspen for a 2-hour meeting
Make dinner plans.
in Aspen?
Mhm.
I don't know what kind of budget you're on.
I'll take you to the Elks.
I've eaten Down Valley.
Do that.
It's a
recently.
lovely. They do a lovely Thursday prime dinner, which is not
Oh, really?
expensive. So
Well, there's
I'll
also
take
the
you to
golf
the
course,
Elks.
which is semi-affordable.
All right. Other open discussion.
Yeah, there's a few items from staff. I think, Suzanne, to get you out of here, we'll
Okay.
kick over to you on the Cloud 10 site
Thanks.
visit. Yeah.
So, right, the Cloud 10 application, land use application is in for the property that is basically off of Summer Road at the top of Keno Gulch. So they have their land use application in. I know you've worked with Paul on, and Brian can probably speak to that more, conservation easements and road easements and whatnot. But the land use application is in. We're planning to bring it to you probably late October. We're hoping to get it in before Tammy leaves to have a baby. But the applicant asked to ask you all if you are willing or interested in a site visit prior. And we're thinking if we want to do that, we need to work with Rye on noticing for that, but kind of getting out ahead of, if we're not bringing it to you till late October, you might want to get up there sooner than that, weather-wise.
Snowmaking starts the 31st or the 1st of November, just so you
Okay.
know.
So anyway, coming to you to try and,
The first week of October would be pretty colorful if we get any rains.
Or
Could be
snowy.
snowy.
We could
Yeah.
have snow, so.
I feel like we
No,
did
look in
discuss this. Did
September.
we not hone in on a date at
Greg
all?
probably wanted to do it, a site visit with story poles.
I feel like it's, the idea, it's come up, but we hadn't actually gotten to you to figure out how to make that happen.
I think we should
Or
probably
when?
look at a date.
You have some dates to propose?
You guys are the complicated ones.
August 14th.
I have October 2nd and 3rd. I have River District. And
You may want to try and do it in
How
September in
about-
case there's an urgency.
How about
now.
September 30th? That will be a fifth Tuesday, and we will
I
not
have Accra in the morning.
Can you do you want to do it after?
on a Tuesday?
I
That's
have
September.
Accra the last Tuesday of every month.
Oh, I thought your Acras were on Thursday morning. That's for a while, or
They are.
Northwest.
They're till like 11 o'clock on Tuesday mornings. EOT or Northwest COG is on Thursdays.
Would you do 1 o'clock?
I do have availability on the 30th at this point.
I can do
Okay.
September 30th.
1
late.
o'clock, September 30th? Beautiful ride up Aspen Mountain? Great.
What's it called? Cloud what?
Cloud 10, Aspen LLC, I think is the name.
We just did their abatement about 2 hours ago.
Yeah.
Oh, really? Same
I
thing?
thought I heard that name pop up on your agenda. Okay, great. We'll
It'll snow that day, you do know
we'll
that.
work on logistics.
It's okay.
I know.
We'll
It
take
usually
it.
does.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Any others?
That's all I've got.
John?
Yeah, just real quick, we had the ribbon cutting today. Kelly was there and able to
good.
give some comments for the microgrid. It is operational for what we call blue sky days right now, which means normal operations. Still waiting for some controller hardware to come in that will manage the switches that will allow us to create the microgrid when we're having a black sky day, which is a bad day, and hopefully we won't have many of those. But that was the one of the original geneses of the project, and so that's moving forward. We expect that to be done before the end of the year, but we had representatives from all our partners there, and I think, Kelly, you and GR cut the ribbon at the end of the day.
You did.
Use those big scissors?
Sure did.
Yeah.
Yep, like a
Oh,
boss.
good for GR.
Yeah,
It
it was
was
sweet.
like his last.
He gave a tour,
Yeah.
told everyone not
What do
to
you mean his
touch
last tour?
anything.
GR's resigned from the county.
I didn't know that.
Oh.
It was announced at one of our meetings.
He,
I don't know
yeah,
when-
he's
Must
not,
have been when I was with the River District.
yeah, he's not going
Oh.
far though. He's going to Jacobson Daniels to work as a project manager on the runway. So, yeah,
As is.
Okay.
We have a lot of shifting going on.
yeah,
Wow. Well, he won't be in your office. That's another person you lost out of your office.
yeah.
He's
yeah.
already moved to the second floor.
Yeah.
So, and then the last thing, I think you all got a notice on this, but there is one more age-friendly action plan public meeting that's going to be down in El Jebel on August 7th at the community center from 4:30 to 6:30 if any board members are interested in attending that.
What day of the week is it?
The 7th is,
Thank you.
It's a Tuesday. And I will be at Mountain 2030 in Breckenridge. When is it? Which 7th?
August.
Oh, August. I thought you said October. Let me recheck.
That's a Thursday. Yeah.
Still summer.
Still summer.
Despite
That's
the
all.
sweaters we all wore yesterday.
Yeah, outside of the
Transportation Coalition.
conversation I think Rye has prepped up for you, that's all I have.
Yeah, all right, let's see, before we do Shoshone, if there's any other board open discussion.
I have nothing.
I'm good.
All right. We need to provide direction on our profile at the CWCB about Shoshone. Is that something you want to talk about here, or do we need to move into exec?
It's just as easy to do it in exec if you'd like, and it would certainly fall under an exception.
Okay. And since it's easy to wade into legal advice territory on this, can I please have a motion to go into executive session for the purposes of receiving legal advice on the Shoshone?
Colorado Water Conservation Board hearing on the proposed change of water rights for the Shoshone permanency project. That would be discussion
Pursuant
with council.
To CRS
24-6-4024B.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Patty. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Jeffrey. Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And then, do we need to come back down here to adjourn the meeting? Can we be done so grassroots can go home? Okay. All right, thanks to all members of the public for attending and listening in today. Thank you to Grassroots and McKella for your support with IT. Thank you.